Welcome to Had6 channel. In this video, we will look into florid. 18 adjectives with similar meanings will be reviewed in example sentences. Let's get started. Number 1. Highfalutin, which means especially of speech, writing, or ideas pompous or pretentious. Highfalutin. For example, the report was cloaked in highfalutin language. Number 2. Extravagant, which means exceeding what is reasonable or appropriate. Extravagant. For example, mirror frames which are decorated in an extravagant style. Number 3. High-sounding, which means of language or ideas extravagant and grand. High-sounding. For example, high-sounding moralism. Number 4. Overwrought, which means of a piece of writing or a work of art too elaborate or complicated in design or construction. Overwrought. For example, a pseudo-Gothic church far too overwrought for such a small town. Number 5. Oratorical, which means relating to the art or practice of public speaking. Oratorical. For example, oratorical skills. Number 6. Flowery, which means of speech or writing full of elaborate or literary words and phrases. Flowery. For example, his flowery language made no impression. Number 7. High-flown, which means especially of language or ideas extravagant and grand-sounding. High-flown. For example, his novels seem high-flown and absurd. Number 8. Turgid, which means of language or style tediously pompous or bombastic. Turgid. For example, some turgid verses on the death of Prince Albert. Number 9. Tumid, which means especially of language or literary style pompous or bombastic. Tumid. For example, tumid oratory. Number 10. Busy, which means excessively detailed or decorated. Busy. For example, the lavish set designs are a little too busy. Number 11. Rococo, which means especially of music or literature extravagantly or excessively ornate. Rococo. For example, his labyrinthine sentences and rococo usages. Number 12. Grandiloquent, which means pompous or extravagant in language, style, or manner, especially in a way that is intended to impress. Grandiloquent. For example, their grandiloquent phrases failed to convince me. Number 13. Orotund, which means of writing, style, or expression pompous or pretentious. Orotund. For example, the orotund rhetoric of his prose. Number 14. Rhetorical, which means expressed in terms intended to persuade or impress. Rhetorical. For example, he had a tendency to engage in rhetorical hyperbole. Number 15. Fussy, which means full of unnecessary detail or decoration. Fussy. For example, I hate fussy clothes. Number 16. Elaborate, which means involving many carefully arranged parts or details. Elaborate. For example, elaborate security precautions. Can you think of other examples? Please share them in the comment section below. Hitting the subscription button is the best way to stay connected. See you in the next video.